Hey, what's up, nerds? It's Paul here at Radio Free Hammer Hall. We have one hell of a show for all of you, especially considering what the pre-show has been like so far. Today, we're going to be talking about the leaks of all of the points for GHB 2021 and the beginning of third edition of Age of Sigmar. To my left is the illustrious Josh Keel, the TO of Du Bois GT and Corn Dragon owner extraordinaire. Down there, we've got Major from 2D3. And over there...
It's like a...
Fuck, just, I don't know how to point.
You've already screwed the stream up. Start again.
The bottom right corner.
In the corner that I can't find, Martin Orlando.
Hello, friends.
Good painter elf man.
And TO of ACO.
Yeah. Yeah, which went swimmingly well. That was a really awesome event.
I'm glad you came. Thanks to everyone in the audience who did attend. If you did attend, we hope to see you again next year. Yeah,
I'm planning on going next year. I don't know if my liver can take it, though.
I would have went if my wife wasn't having a baby.
That's no excuse. She can do that without you.
I'll be right back, honey. For 3 days.
Hold on, I gotta roll saves. Don't let the kid out too soon.
I got your leg. Oh no!
Oh my god!
It's all right, honey. It's only up to the shoulders. I can finish this game before the whole bubble's out. It's fine.
Oh no!
You're gonna be in labor for hours. Don't worry about it. I can get another round in.
Yeah, you're right.
All right.
You look angry. Here, have some more of the gas.
Yeah. So, no, they don't do that in the United States.
Don't they? Oh man, you need to move to Australia. That's free.
They give you guys gas when you're out.
Yeah, man. They just chuck the mask on and you can just
All right.
All right.
They don't do
Australia
that.
Clearly still on the drug up the moms case of birthing.
And no one's complaining.
No complaining. No.
No, because they're all unconscious.
That's kind of nice, in some ways. This is beyond the scope of my reasoning, though. I don't understand what that would do.
All right. Anyway, guys, we're going to go over all of the points changes. First, I want to give a shout out to Dan from AoS Shorts for starting the Google Doc that we're going to be using and then crowdsourcing the completion of it. I don't know how much he actually did, but he did have the idea to create the thing and then put the thing out there on Twitter, and many people retweeted, and it got all filled in. So big thanks to the community for getting together and making these spreadsheets with all the points changes and all of that stuff. And now we're going to blow it apart and look at it all and see what's going to happen. And yeah. So, Josh, you have not seen the points changes yet.
Nope.
So this is a reaction video for Josh. Martin probably was busy painting.
I am painting Lore Seeker, which we're going to talk about later.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Major, have you seen the points changes yet?
Some of them, and some of them I haven't, but I only give a shit about half of them. So I'm like 33% informed.
All right. Excellent. Well, let's start. Let's begin at the beginning. Well, not really begin at the beginning. If this decides to... Nope, that's not the one I wanted.
What are you, Gandalf?
There we go. All right. So this is a spreadsheet of just the battle line units. You can see on the left we have the different war scrolls, their unit sizes, GHB 20 points, GHB 21 points, the difference, percentage change. I'm just going to scroll through this real quick. If it's red, it means the points went up. If it's green, the points went down. Are we noticing a pattern yet?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everything went down.
Yeah, it's starting to look like AoS 3.40K.
Oh, God.
It is a lot of red ink all over this thing. Holy good God. We're going to get into the specifics of this later.
Well, if I may, well, as you get to the bottom, you'll notice that there is relatively an even percentage across all of them. So
Yes.
it's Schrodinger's points. If the points go up relatively the same for everyone on this list, did points really go up?
I think that there were still units that could have benefited from a points reduction.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
With those units going up in points, let's just say everything went up by 10%. The things that needed a reduction that also went up by 10% are just still shit.
Yes.
So
that is true.
Yeah, I don't think the points increase for everything has actually addressed any of the issues with unit costings. I think it's just more brought everything in line with however they want the new edition to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the big takeaway is, on average, battle line went up 7.2%. Stuff that is always battle line is 7.9%. And things that are conditional battle line, battlefield, or battle line if X was up 6.8%. So overall, if you just kind of do the math on that real quick, 7% of 2,000 points is 140, which is around where most of the battalions were. So,
can I ask you a question, please, Paul, Lord Calculator, of all that is AoS? What about these percentages? Are they accounting for changes in min-max of units as well? So a point
yes,
increase.
any min-max changes were adjusted in there as well.
Excellent, thank you.
So yeah, in general, it looks like the points increase basically just inflated everything to suck up the points that would ordinarily be going towards battalions, assuming that you were taking one. And we'll see in individual armies that it seems like we can see like where the median is, and then which ones got like an effective decrease because they went up less than everybody else, and then which ones got huge increases and are really going to be feeling some pain, which there's some that are not feeling pain that probably should feel a bit more, but we will talk about that when we get there. And then the other big spreadsheet here, this is the endless spells. Look at these points changes on endless spells.
Yeah. It should be noted that a majority of the generic endless spells saw war scroll changes.
Yes,
that is true.
Some, but not all. Some arguably should have.
Yeah, they're also twice as effective, so I can see these big you getting hit really hard.
Yeah, twice as effective, but some of
not.
their range limited or stuff like shackles. Shackles doesn't move and is really good now.
Yes. How many points is shackles?
It's up to 65.
It's not 100 points. It should be 100 points.
It's worth more, yeah.
So 70.9% increase on average for endless spells.
That makes sense to me.
That is like
just a special note. Cogs went down while completely changing its war scroll, and for some people, while it won't be like every what I've been say, and no one will use the sentence ever again, and then you use cogs in terms of determining charge distances, because that effect no longer applies. However, its new effects make it potentially a must-have for certain armies to just like double in power, and it got cheaper. So that's fun.
Ralph, I can tell you that the Wrath Axe in Khorne is going to be bonkers with these new rules. It only went up 25 points. That thing is
You know?
devastating. Like there's a lot of stuff that increased, but honestly, like there are things that you take one of, so it's not like you're taking multiple copies of these things. I think the point increases are reasonable considering they're almost twice as strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the big point that I was getting at with highlighting the battle line units all going up. Is that like the core of most of these armies is going up. And if we look, I can just scroll real quick here. This is just the order tab, but you can see just how much red ink is on all of this as well. Just consistently through everything, just points changes across the board, almost all to the upside.
Yeah.
All right, kids. So let's get into this. Daughters of Cain. Their battle line. Whoa.
According to lovereading.com,
Alexa, shut up.
The Daughters of Cain is the 11th novel in Colin Dexter's Oxford set detective series.
Why do you even fucking need us on your show, bro? Just get your fucking Alexa to sit next to you and we can all go back to bed. Sweet. Oh, she's a better host than you are.
Apparently. So anyway,
this is another reason why I don't have one of those things.
It's really funny when someone on a TV show uses one and it triggers yours.
That happens? Holy shit.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Another reason why I don't have one of those things.
All right, so Daughters of Cain, your standard Sisters of Slaughter and Witch Elves both went up pretty significantly in points.
That's huge. That's a lot of points for a battle line. You're saying battle line went up on average 7%. That's
it should be noted that Daughters of Cain were undercosted roughly 20% at the end of second edition. So some of the stuff needed to happen.
Oh, yeah, I also think that
their average went up. They went up 20% on average.
Yeah.
I
think they're going to get hit harder because the way the rules are written, I think these units are more independently good. And a lot of the armies in Age of Sigmar are dependent on all these different buffs and command abilities happening at the same time.
They'll still be fine.
These guys are going to operate pretty much the same way as they always have.
Yeah.
I think what it's doing is it's just more of a distribution of power now. So the fat middle tier armies will have more of an opportunity of things like, your bow snaky ladies can't shoot twice now and stuff like that. So this army is still going to be really tough. It's just going to be less models on a smaller table.
Yeah. The bow snakes went up 21%, 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Thank God. I was on the receiving end of those at ACO, and those are really strong now.
Yeah, bro.
I think they want less models on the table too.
Well, yes.
Yep.
Which makes no sense to me because now I'm just not going to buy a second box because I don't need to because the point costs are too much. You would have thought they would have. I don't know. It just makes no sense from a selling models perspective.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, it goes into that whole myth that GW is doing points based on selling models. Like, no, they sell models because they sell models. They're not really like the people that even play match play are a relatively small subset of like people that are buying their product.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I go into the Warhammer store, it's almost like the competitive players are secondary to the average customer. Like, the competitive aspect of the game is just it's almost a niche market. Like most of the time you have like moms and dads coming in and they just want their kids to paint some models.
Or it's just adults who like the hobby and just want to buy their own stuff.
Sure, yeah, that too.
Yeah. All right. So how do we feel about Daughters of Cain going up 20%? Like, does that bring it into the fat middle?
No. It does not. And they're still going to be good. You can't have everything and then summon an army. Now you have to actually make decisions when you list build, but they're still going to be excellent. The Daughters of Cain is one of the best books in the game, and it's going to stay that way. It's just not going to have like an autopilot sort of time with its games.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, Daughters of Cain are what, top of B. So they're already not really like, they're super strong and they're super competitive, but they're also not like in the current edition and everything. They're not IDK level. So I think these changes need to be seen on the tabletop first over a few events before we're really going to see 20% increase in unit costs for this army is what was needed anyway in the second edition. So who knows?
Yeah. So just as a completely unrelated note, real quick, our buddy Dez was supposed to be joining us this evening. However, he has given himself food poisoning with expired yogurt, so he will not be joining us. He will be riding the porcelain school bus.
I'm not laughing. I am totally laughing. That's hilarious. I'm sorry. Fuck, I'm hungry. Oh, it's only a few days expired. Should be sweet. Love you, Des.
I wish I was joking. That is literally like the text I got was not going to make it. Got food poisoning from eating bad yogurt. Like, what?
Hero.
All right. So the comedy show continues. Let's move on to our next faction, Fire Slayers. Now, there's a couple of interesting things to note here. First of all, both of their battle line units went up. Hearthguard Berserkers only went up 5 points.
Yeah.
Volkite Berserkers went up 20 points. But the big thing to note here is that Hearthguard Berserkers did not go up in their unit size. So they're going to be max 15 now.
Yeah. No more, and you can't daisy chain anymore in the core rules.
Right. So I feel like the core rules in general are punishing this army, and there was nothing done in the GHB to like alleviate any of that. So I think power level on this in general went down. Their average, if you look at their average points change, there's essentially no change, right? Like very little. Just also a note for everybody. Any endless spells or invocations I left off of the averages because those were just going to skew every single army because they were all such big changes.
Yeah.
So Fire Slayers are just like looking at it as a competitive army. They're just behind Daughters of Cain currently. So it's like a 55, 56% win rate or something for that army already as it is, right? So we could say that they're almost pretty much numbers-wise, they're pretty much equal with Daughters of Cain. But there's more green here than there was for Daughters of Cain.
But Martin was saying, like the core rules punish them a little bit harder than they punish Daughters.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that they can't take up as much space as they used to, because you would see that with Fire Slayer's lines because they're so short, literally in terms of board presence, and now that their unit footprint shrunk because of how they have to set up. So,
yeah. Also, the other thing that I wanted to note here that we like totally missed right off the top is that we have confirmation in all of this that there are no pitch battle profiles for any battalions anymore. And that is certainly going to factor into Fire Slayers because they were typically taking a battalion. So with that change of points and no longer having a battalion, they're probably actually adding troops.
Yeah,
but their Hearthguard Berserker blocks are going to be 15s instead of 20s.
I would need to have a Fire Slayers player in front of me because I've never actually opened their book. That's my bad.
There's other battalions now, though, as
Oh,
well.
right. I'm trying to ascertain what abilities that were key to them winning like games in battalions that are now gone and possibly gained back by the core battalions, not
They
including drops.
It was attacking twice with the Hearthguard Berserker unit in the battalion.
Yeah. So you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. So that brings their power level way down. All right. So up next we have Idaneth Deepkin.
Rumored to have a new book sometime before Halloween.
Yep. Their battle line generally went up. Eels all went up. And their min unit size did not go up. So the coherency rules are certainly going to be messing around with those. It's going to be harder to run 6s of those like people have been. And the new command point rules are also going to stop the, like, save up all your command points until turn 3, bring all of your eels on, charge, and attack a whole bunch of times.
Yeah. But you know what they did gain? They gained
The Marty Reavers going down?
They gained access to cities of Sigmar as allies.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so you're going to see some fun stuff in there.
That's what the current strongest army in the game needed was more allies.
Yes.
Isn't that good now?
Frost Phoenix, artillery. I'm trying to think. Other than Phoenixes, I can't think off the top of my head what immediately benefits Idaneth by gaining cities as allies. But just like having something like a Phoenix, like a solid hero debuffing anvil that can pin stuff in place, gets better as you cast more spells, just holding stuff in place while your eels go around and kill more stuff. Like, that's just a net positive. Like it's like this army needs help. It's needed help for a long time. They got a little bit of help in Broken Realms Marathi by making some units better, but the internal balance, I'm sure this is nowhere near a hot take, is in bad shape. And a new battle tone, which would reset how all of the units in the army function, would be welcome, and then some at this point. So possibly new units on top of that.
Yeah. I think what's really going to hurt them, though, is I think the eel spam build is going to change a lot or not even necessarily be a thing anymore.
Well, they have 2-inch reach on all their weapons, right?
Do they?
Let me look it up while you guys talk, because I think they're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine. IDK is an S-tier army as it is, and a few small, like, minor changes to the army isn't going to impact it too badly. Anybody who's played enough games against them would welcome some changes, but I think there's still some parts of the army that they're not broken. They just need altering.
Everything except the bite has a 2-inch reach, so they don't mind the new coherency rules.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. I thought that was going to be biting them hard, but that just leaves them with some
literally
points
the bite is the only thing affected,
which is not where you're getting your damage anyway.
Yeah.
So the new rules for command abilities do hurt them a bit, but
yeah, you can't spam Volturnus' command ability anymore.
Yeah, who for some reason went down.
It's fine.
Anyway, moving on to charadron overlords.
Paging Tom Lyons.
Tom was quite upset about this. They got kicked right in the battle line really hard.
Yeah, that hurts.
Endrinriggers up, Skywardens up, Gun Haulers up, Thunderers up, and now limited to 10 unless you're in Baraknar. Which I don't understand why people think that's such a big deal. Like, you get 2 things of ether gold for them now if you want to run 20, and you still can run 2 units of 10, and drops don't matter as much as they used to. So, but they still went up 15 points.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I feel like this, though, like, brought most of these into, like, the place where I think the points should have been, which was like halfway-ish between the original book and the last GHB.
Yeah. Yeah, but when the meat of your army goes up 15 to 20%, that hurts.
Yeah. Yep. The frigate did not go up much. The Etheric Navigator somehow went down. I don't understand that one at all. But yeah, overall average 7.7% increase on charadron overlords. I still think that leaves them as an S tier army, though.
KO, I don't think KO are S tier. I think they're A tier at the moment. So I think they're just trying to sneak in there, but they haven't quite made it. What this is going to do, though, this isn't a power increase for the army. So this is adding a thin layer of complexity and difficulty to an army that you already needed to know how to play really well to be effective.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see why Tom was pissed off or a bit upset about it, or disappointed, whatever. But I actually expected a few price increases here to be larger than what they were, but then I'm surprised by others as well. Like, I don't understand why Navigator's gone down. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah, and why is Ether Chemist still 90 points when he can carry a spell in a bottle with a Warp Lightning Vortex? Like,
yeah, that's cool.
Like, he should be easy, like 150.
I think you need a wizard just to bring a Warp Lightning Vortex now. You can't just... So they don't have
true.
They don't have any wizards. They actually have to ally in a wizard just to take a spell. So it's not that simple for this army anymore.
I wonder if there's going to have to be an FAQ on that if spell in a bottle overrides that core rule.
Well, isn't there now a way that you can get your heroes to cast spells as if they were a wizard anyway?
Yeah, the magic item.
You could throw on an artifact that makes them
a wizard.
One of the core artifacts.
Yeah, so there's ways around that.
So you can make one of your guys a wizard? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but then
one of the core artifacts.
Oh yeah, but then that can't be the Ether Chemist because so you can only take one of the spell for every wizard in your army. But that's an artifact making that model a wizard. So you'd have one model taking the artifact to make them a wizard to take the endless spell, and then the spell in a bottle is another artifact, right?
Yep.
Oh,
so you would need to take. So you're that's a very inefficient way of not being able to ally. Like you could just ally in a wizard to make it easier.
But like what I'm trying to say is, I think the reason that guy didn't go up is because it's hard to use them now.
Yeah. All right. Lumineth Realm Lords. I will let Martin talk about this first because he actually knows what these units are. And I still have never played against Lumineth. So
that's fine. All right. So I just want to go just double back very quickly about endless spells. Certain endless spells did not really see a change to their war scroll, notably Umbral Spell Portal. An Umbral Spell Portal probably should have changed. And because it didn't change, you're still going to see Teclis use it just the same way he always has. Now, I would argue this is like mostly the stuff here is just scale change. Like things went up proportionally, maintaining the internal balance within the army that it previously had. So the only thing that kind of changed that's like different is spearmen or wardens used to be the cheapest battle line. Now they are halfway in between everything else in the pack. Your swordmasters, your cavalry, the spearmen, and the archers. When I say the internal balance is so important, so originally archers or sentinels, everyone's favorite punching bag, were 20 points more expensive than spearmen. And now spearmen are only 5 points cheaper than archers, which is a weird dynamic to have. Like spearmen went up so much more in proportion to how much archers went up. I think that's the main thing. Like the rest of the points, I would say, are appropriate with the overall scale change of the game. The Light of Eltharion, which is the character based on Eltharion the Grim from Old World, he went up, I want to say 30 points, and he was like not seeing play. So I'm not quite sure about that. But Teclis going up is fine. Everything else getting tweaked is fine. I overall don't see much of a problem with certain things. It's more how the core rules change that made certain characters weaker. And I think that's a discussion probably meant for like a Lumineth focus episode, not just a holistic points change. I'll kind of.
Were there battalions that you were taking with Lumineth regularly?
I am of a certain opinion, and you'll find it very divisive as you dig into like Lumineth forums. I'm of the opinion that most of our battalions were utter trash, and even the 2 good ones were too expensive for an army like this, which needs bodies so desperately. So yes, the 2 battalions that let the wind stuff, your wind chargers, the spirit fox, and the wind mage do extra bullshit, that's gone. And the battalion which let Stone Guard do most, so it was basically reroll saves on everything in that battalion, which made Stone Guard, which people weren't really taking anyway, extra tanky. That is also now gone. The rest of them, I don't care what other people say about them. You took them to lower your drops. And now we have plug-and-play battalions that cost no points, which let us lower our drops sight unseen, which is just a net good thing. In addition, as a final additive, there are new core spell lores, which can let the Lore Seeker, we need to talk about the Lore Seeker. This person right here when I'm painting. So Josh, do you know what the Lore Seeker did? I know you haven't been playing Warhammer for a while.
Nope. No, because COVID hit and then the elves came out.
Yeah, just a quick thing. All you need to know is that there's this little dinky spell sword, like the Lore Master of Hoeth from old Warhammer days. Swordmaster, it's like a red mage from Final Fantasy. He could set up turn 1 or before turn 1 anywhere on the table, as long as they were 3 inches away from enemy models and not within your territory. If they set up within range of an objective, which was not controlled by any player, as in they had no models near it, they gain control of that objective and cannot lose it until the Lore Master moves away or dies. And that character used to be 160 points, is now 170 points. No longer a special character, because they had this whole thing where it's a common hero, but we gave it the special character status because we don't know how to make sure it's not a general or can't take items. Now you can give it magic items, and now you can take more than one of it, which is probably a problem. So some people are like, how many am I going to take? How many am I going to ally into my Stormcast army or cities? So right now I'm working on the character. I built a draft list with, you can give it a magic item for +3 attacks. So it's now at 7 attacks, 2s, 3s, Ren 1, D3 damage. And then there's a core lore spell, which says cast on a 4, the caster's weapon, one weapon the caster is holding gets +1 damage. So I have a 5 wound hero, or 6 wounds, sorry, on 7 attacks, 2s, 3s, Ren 1, D3 +1 damage. And did I mention he can take up to 2 spells, possibly more?
That's pretty good for 170.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And there's all kinds of buffs and crap that Lumineth do that I'm leaving out, or we'd be here for an hour. Because Lumineth are like that. Paul, when we play, you're going to be like, this army has too many rules. I don't like it.
I don't think that's possible. I like rules.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Lumineth specifically are like, I'm going to stop you from doing that thing with your models to tell you the thing I'm about to activate, which makes my models better.
Oh my god,
that's what Lumineth does.
That sounds so fun. I can't wait.
I don't know, man. My unpopular opinion for them is that they got points increases because everybody got points increases, but the points increases they got weren't enough. They're a rough army for people to play against.
Yeah. If I may just to close it out, Lumineth are one of those armies that they are like at least until there's a new Stormcast book, which there is going to be one soon with new units and stuff that we haven't even seen yet. Lumineth serve as a good gatekeeper. They keep the middle tier, like the fat middle, down in some of the worst ways, which is unfortunate. Like if we're playing at a club, like I have not played Techless in a club game because Techless just does stuff which makes casual armies just not function. And he doesn't even roll dice to do it. But when you're talking about Lumineth versus Change Host or whatever New Zinch is versus KO versus whatever you would consider A and S tier armies to be, Lumineth are going to struggle pretty hard. It's not that they can't win those games, but the tools they have are less relevant versus those armies which are better than them, and the armies which are already struggling to just deal with Lumineth just keep them down.
Yeah.
All right. So can we move on to Seraphon?
Yeah.
Big change I want to note right off the rip. Skanks up 25%. That is pretty big.
They need to go up.
Yeah. I think they need to go up more than that.
They're still worth it. I'd still take them. I'd buy that every day.
Yeah. And because of the reinforcement rules, they're going to be limited to 30 now instead of 40s.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah. I don't see that stopping anybody from doing anything abusive. We have a much more expensive Lord Croak now. I don't know how much that is going to impact things. I haven't really talked to anybody yet. Like new Croak versus old Croak.
He's roughly just as good as he used to be. He does cost more points, and he's a much bigger base. He's harder to hide. And because of how his casualty damage works, it is potential to kill him early. His whole thing is if you roll 3 dice and if you roll above no, I'm not gonna quote it just off the top of my head. It's just it's easier to kill him, and it relies entirely on a dice roll that you check. Otherwise he heals back to full.
Yeah, the way I read it, he could just take a single point of damage and potentially die.
It's 2 damage, but yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's interesting. I'll talk about one of the ones that I'm not happy about. Salamanders only went up 10 points.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that could be doubling their points, and I would still be maybe they could go higher.
But isn't it the all the stupid little skinks that keep those things and good?
They just not enough. It's not nearly enough. Yeah.
It's the setup that makes those things good, not just the unit by itself.
Yeah.
Right.
And all the setup options are what they increase the price on.
Yeah.
There's other things going up against those sorts of units were really irritating, and it was because of the setup. You're right. But now that there's new rules introduced, like redeploy, for example, it's kind of less worrying as well. So I still think the points could have gone up a little more than they did, but I'm not as concerned as what I thought I would be.
Yeah. because I'm looking at this like all the things that like made those really annoying went up in price except for them. And I'm kind of thinking like, you know what? I still have to play the new version of the game. I haven't even gotten a chance to play a game of 3.0. Like, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
technically,
really
it doesn't come out for another few weeks, so you're good.
I think it's also.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead, man.
I was going to say, there's going to be a lot of War Scroll changes. These rules are so different from 2.0 that, like, a lot of the old rules don't even make sense anymore. So,
and not to mention things like how they've changed your plus and minus modifiers now.
Right.
So the changes to that, this army in particular is one army that will notice that change a lot more than other armies.
Yeah, they've got a lot of bonuses to hit in this army, like stackable ones, I think.
Stackable save bonuses.
Yeah, so you've got all sorts of funny bonuses that they were stacking to create these Death Stars. And now it's not quite as explosive as it used to be. I think everybody is a little less explosive. Some armies, even Daughters. Daughters had a wide array of different buffs, so like they weren't impacted by those rules as much, I don't think. But they were nerfed hard on the points, so their models are just more expensive. But these guys, I think like all the setup is more expensive. The skanks mainly. I don't know. I think this looks pretty good.
Yeah, average went up 11.4%, but with how many War Scrolls there are here, that doesn't really tell the story. Pterodon riders went up a lot for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. That really gives me the impression that, like, is there something funny like in the War Scroll that they added? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, when we get to Slaanesh, you're going to understand that sometimes it was just like, why? Like, Blissbarb Archers went up 30 points. They did. And you're like, uh-huh.
Yeah, like a lot of, like, my War Scrolls for my judgments. They're going to have to rework those. Like, if they don't, those things are going to be bonkers. They're so good. If I'm able to place my stuff 8 inches away from my priest and then have it move 8 inches and then move 8 inches again on their hero phase, I'm going to be slaughtering people with that Wrath Axe. I mean, that's going to be nuts. And I'm like, all right, well, that War Scroll has to change. There's no way that we're going to get away with that for that many points. I think a lot of this is in that same boat, in that same vein.
So Stormcast Eternals,
Dead points
I think
walking.
they get the award for like the most averagest changes. They just kind of went up like 15 points across the board, basically.
This army's going to hurt, I think.
No, well,
Stormcast relies a lot on like command points and a lot of like.
They're getting a new battle tome within the next 60 days, probably, with 10 new kits that we haven't seen yet, including a new starter set in 2 weeks. So, and their points aren't even on here.
Right. One that hurts here, Liberators still at minimum 5 models. A lot of other things that were 5 models got increased to 10. They did not. So they're going to be at a max size of 15.
Yeah, but they're aren't they a 40 millimeter base? That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I'm sure this will be all different again, not even in 2 months.
And it's the other thing, like Martin's saying, they're going to get a new book, but oh my goodness. 1 second. Stormcast relies a lot on their battalions too. A lot on their battalions, and you're not going to be able to take those in match play.
This is going to be these changes. We understand the reason behind the cost hike for points, right? For all of these models, but this is going to be frustrating for Stormcast players because they're already in D tier down the bottom somewhere as it is, struggling to claw their way back up, and it's just going to be a frustrating thing for Stormcast players to go, right, I don't have the battalions that I was using to try and prop myself up, and now everything costs more as well. And on top of that, the new coherency rules means I'm going to be struggling more with my units because they're all on bigger bases. What do I do now? And I think we're going to have a large chunk of Stormcast players that are going to have their hands up in the air going, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I think Stormcast is fucked right now, and then they're going to get their book and they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
All right, Silvernet. Can we all just pour one out for Silvernet getting points increases?
I will get a new drink. So technically, yes, I will.
I'm so livid about this. Like this actually pisses me off. Like this one here, I'm not happy with. I'm okay with most. I'm not happy about Silvernet.
I'm gonna be right back. I gotta get a bottle for my baby. Keep going.
Yeah, get one for me too, because I'm about to cry like a baby. Fucking Silvernet, man. I swear to God. That 4 years these guys have already struggled as it is. And now this happens to them. Like the cost for Alariel is there's no justification for that at all. Like I can't, she's not worth what she was worth, and now she's definitely not worth what they've increased it to. It's pointless, and the way that everything's gone up, I'm not happy. Base sizes are wrong for the coherency rules. The price adjustments are wrong for the effectiveness of the units, and the effectiveness of the units doesn't match what their worth is, what their value is. So if they're going to make these kinds of changes to the points, they need to have a War Scroll overhaul, big time. If GW want me to buy more Silvernet models, then something needs to change, because I don't think that's fair on the Silvernet community. They're already struggling a lot, and that's so rough. These guys have been hit pretty hard.
But you do get the consolation prize of Dryads going down 5 points.
Yeah, but who gives a shit? Like it's 5 points. 5 points for Dryads is not. It's not gonna do anything for them at all.
Right.
I don't understand. This is a why moment. Like, why GW? What was your thinking behind it? Unless there's some book in the horizon soon that is going to make everything just all make sense. But at the moment, they are like, you will have more fun rocking up to a tournament, letting somebody shit in your hand, and then clapping right in front of your face. That's going to be more fun than playing a Silvernet army at the moment.
Oh yeah. Silvernet just doesn't even feel like a game right now.
No.
Cities of Sigmar to round out order. A lot of fairly average points changes, a lot of little 5-10 point changes here and there. Dark Shards went up 15% though. That's interesting.
I don't understand why. What was...
They get double shots at like 18 inches.
Yeah,
so
so Unleash Hell, that might be a thing.
Yeah. And Cities of Sigmar already had more command points anyway, so anything that's like command point sensitive is just going to be like exacerbated in this army.
So do you not think that should possibly be maybe 130?
I don't know what it should be. But I mean, it's notable anyway. A bunch of like tiny moves.
I should add that they gained 3 new sub-factions over the course of Broken Realms. So there are now potentially additional synergies. I'm not saying that they are accounting for and the sole responsibility, like the sole cause of these points increases. Some of them, again, do not quite make sense holistically from our perspective.
Yeah, like why did the Black Arc Fleet Master go up 10 points? Why did a Cogsmith go up 10 points?
Black Arc Fleet Master probably went up 10 points because 40 points is too expensive for a Universal Hero. Maybe. I'm sorry, too inexpensive, I should say. Sorry. But like there are certain things now, there are synergies to account for holistically which might account for these points change because more armies are able to dip into cities, and cities is able to go into other armies now more than there used to be. So that is just a data point to account for, just in general. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of generals, Free Guild General on Griffin went down 15 points. I'm pretty happy about that.
Oh, bro, that's awesome. Like, that's awesome for city players.
Yeah. He cannot get himself down to a 2-up save anymore, but he can take that generic artifact that gives him a 5-up ward. So I'm cool with that.
Yep, I don't see anything wrong with that point adjustment.
Yeah, there's really not too much in here that's overly crazy. Like these are just like very average, mundane changes.
They did
And
have
overall-
some of the few monsters in the game that went down in points. Because most
Yes.
monsters went up.
Overall, like their average increase is below the average of all of them. The average across all the armies is like 7 or 8%.
Yeah.
3.4 puts them in a pretty decent place. Like that's like on balance, that's like effectively a points cut.
Can
And they
you
weren't
scroll up
using
a little
the
bit to the steam tank?
What's that?
Can you scroll up a bit to the steam tank?
Steam Tank with Commander stayed the same.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where is the regular Steam Tank? Steam Tank up 15 points.
Bugger. All right.
It's all right. I think the 9 Steam Tank army still works.
I think, well, maybe even more so with the new behemoth stuff.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't affect those though. I think it just affects monsters, right?
I thought there was some changes for behemoths as well.
I don't think so.
Hmm.
All right. So that is it for order. Let's move on to chaos, shall we? We shall.
Yay! Chaos. That's my
Yeah,
face.
chaos is where the party happens.
Yeah.
Slaves to Darkness got some pretty big moves, both down and up.
Yeah.
Chaos Chariots down to 105. The big thing about that is that also means that your Idolater Lord is 105 points now.
And can take stuff. He can take traits and artifacts, right? Because of the stuff in the core book. Or yeah.
And he gets one of the generic prayers as well because he's a priest.
Yeah. There you go.
So his stock went up a lot. Chaos Knights went up 10. That's not exciting. Chaos Marauders went down to minimum size 10 and are up 80 points. Or I'm sorry, not 80 points. They're up 10 points for 10. So they're up 12.5%.
Yeah.
I think that's still probably cheap for Marauders. You can't take them in 40s anymore. They're going to be max 30.
Is one of their war scroll abilities something that kicks off at 40?
No.
30.
Okay.
Was there a
Gotcha.
horde discount?
I think there's 20 and 30.
It's 10 and 20.
Okay. And isn't it bonuses like +1 to something?
+1 to hit and -1 rend.
So here's what I think about that. Because the modifiers are like restricted to +1 and -1 in all cases, except for saves. I think that a lot of these units that have a built-in bonus just aren't as good as they used
Well, no,
to be.
saves are capped at +1, -1 as well.
Yeah.
I thought -1 save was the only exception.
No. It's now how it works is you play a game with rend. Like you can still have rend 4.
Yeah.
And if I have +3 to my save, it's still -1. If you have rend 4 and I don't have any pluses to my save, it's still -1. So you can try and mitigate rend with pluses to your save, but you can only yield a +1 or a -1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can still have more than -1 rend.
Right. I'm saying
like the downside of saves is the only thing that's not limited.
But well, anyway, what I'm saying, like a lot of these units, like Chaos Marauders, have these modifiers built into the unit based on unit size. I just don't think they're as good as they used to be, because what we used to do is use those modifiers in conjunction with other abilities to make them even better, and now we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you're not going to get 4-up rerollable Marauders anymore.
Was there a horde discount for Marauders?
No, not in the most recent GHB.
Yeah, Marauders were just so good. I think they were like, nah, no horde discount.
Yeah, no more 40s, no horde discount. All of the horde discounts are gone now.
Yeah.
So we're clearly all being disincentivized to run big units.
Yeah, it was +1 hit and +1 rend, 10 and 20 respectively. I don't think that's gonna get updated. But bloodletters aren't as good anymore. Bloodletters are +1 to hit if you have 20 models or more. And we have lots of ways to add +1 to hit in our army. And now it's like, well, we don't use those on bloodletters anymore.
Yeah, you as well as Dinos were talking about how Khorne needs a new book because a lot of their mechanics between overlapping command ability auras and you could name any number of changes just ad nauseum, especially when we get to the Khorne points section. It's just like, what is this book doing?
Yes.
In an edition where it just doesn't function like it should.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Chaos Warriors are one of those lucky units that went from minimum 5 to minimum 10. So they're actually like functional on a 32 base. So they're 200 for 10 now. They went up 10 points per 10. Marauder Horsemen stayed the same, which I'm pretty happy about. I like Marauder Horsemen a lot.
I think they're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I played with them the other night, testing out the 3.0 rules, playing against Dez, and he was like, wow, they throw a lot of dice.
Yeah, no, they're just like, see what sticks, throw the spaghetti at the wall, kill some models.
So Dez was like, wow, that's a lot of dice. Better eat some off yogurt.
Yeah, exactly. Chaos War Shrine up a little bit.
War Shrine's a priest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And a totem.
Yeah, so it's gaining a lot of value in the new rules.
Right. Chaos Lord is up 10. That's pretty expected. He was really good anyway. Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount, Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, Chaos Lord on Manticore all went down.
I think Karkadrak was pretty good. When I played against that thing, I think it hit pretty hard.
Yeah, Demonic Mount down to 155? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's making up almost all of the points that I'm losing by taking, like, 2 units of Chaos Knights. Like, it's nets to a 5-point difference. Let's see. Chaos Sorcerer Lord up 5 points. Yay. Dark Oath Chieftain up for some reason. Gaunt Summoner on disc down 30 points.
His horde ability is less effective when there are fewer units in the average. There are fewer models in the average unit.
True.
Yeah, this is no longer a horde meta, and I think that has an impact, like you're saying.
For now, as points go down, like with every tweak, like FAQ and GHB season, they're going to overall tweak down like between 0.5% and 2% across every army. So he'll gain his value back over time.
Yeah, Bellicor actually went down 20 points in the 2 months since his book came out.
He already needs an FAQ. He already needs an FAQ.
Yep.
What's wrong?
Because his army doesn't exist yet. The whole thing about coalition units.
Yeah.
What happens with only your only battle line became a coalition unit. So, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Chaos Chosen. Somebody decided to get really drunk and increase them 5 points. Let's see, anything else exciting in here? All other small changes. Darkfire Demon Rift only went up 20 points. If that doesn't get a new War Scroll, my God, is that worth more than 100 points?
How so?
Like
It does like insane damage. I couldn't believe how good it was when I played against it, like, just in tournaments, and now it gets to be used twice. This thing's nuts.
That's true. It does get to be used twice. I understand now. Yeah.
And if it doesn't get errata, it gets to pop twice on the turn you cast it.
Yeah, it's crazy good.
And Archeon only went up 30 points.
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, Archeon's really good.
But Archeon nets you bonus command points too. Some command points are a lot better now.
Yeah, they are.
Archeon's better than Nagash. So I would like to see the points reflect that.
Yeah. I mean, Archeon can just spike Nagash like a football.
Every fucking day.
Unless Nagash has the 9 Dragon Balls with the arcane bolts.
Yep.
Well, even now with the change to Arcane Bolt, it's like, who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
Arcane Bolt now is just like Arcane can shrug that shit off. The fact he only got a 30-point increase, that's to me is just wrong. Like, awesome if you've got Archeon and want to take him, like, that's pretty good. You got off pretty well there. So
maybe he won't be as good because he can't be taken as easily in other factions. Because I think Archeon's place was with Khorne, where he was able to double attack.
Well, the coalition units only affect battle line. It actually disproportionately affects taking troop units like Chaos Warriors with Mark of Khorne in a Khorne army, then taking Archeon in a Khorne army.
Like, you could take Archeon in a Tzeentch army, and then you could pretty much guarantee that he is making things disappear with his sword. Like,
yeah, that's if you get lucky with the 6s, right?
No, because with Tzeentch you
Destiny
can make
dice.
it 6. You can
You have to still roll the Destiny dice, though.
Yeah, but I can cast a spell to change my Destiny dice.
Oh God, I hate that army. I'm so glad I did it. Let's just look at the percentage increase on that army and smile.
Yeah. 1.6% increase on average in Slaves to Darkness. I feel pretty good about that. That's one of the smallest changes.
I love slaves. I always love playing against them. They never felt too good. They never felt too bad. I love that army, and I'm glad it didn't see too much change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Porcelain Ash. Look at these points changes.
They can eat shit. Oh, sorry.
Venturella.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, I got to do the Pee Wee Herman voice. Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman. Paging Mr. Herman. Paging Mr. Venturella. I'm sure he'll do it. Yeah, he'll do it. He'll do a rant on Warhammer Weekly this week.
Their total, on average, they went up about the same as everybody else did. Now, was that necessary because they were already terrible?
I don't think they were terrible, man. I don't. They're a middle of the pack. They're in a fat middle with a whole bunch of other armies. I think that they weren't the greatest army, and I just don't think that they were bad. These changes aren't like anything under 8% is fuck all. That's just an increase in points to meet the requirements of the new edition. There hasn't been any major blows to the army that I can see from where I'm sitting anyway. Like, I think there's going to have to be list changes, but that's across the board as it is for everybody in every army. So
yeah, I think where it really hurts is Glutos, Keeper of Secrets, Shalaxi, all of those going up a lot.
It doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered. Like it's, I think it's one of those adapt, overcome kind of scenarios. It's rough, but the hike in point cost for everything is it's just rough across the board, and I think it's just going to have to be a reevaluation of how you construct a competitive list for this army. There's just going to have to be changes.
Yeah,
Vince is going to be upset. And I'm going to sit and bask in it. I'm going to enjoy it. It's gonna be like getting a tan. I'm going to just lie out in the sun and be like, yes, hate it, because it's funny. Poor guy.
Yeah,
he waited so long.
Yeah, Vince is gonna be unhappy about Slanesh, and Tom is gonna be unhappy about Fire Slayers and KO, and
I'm fine with Luminous.
And I'm unhappy about Silvernet. So, it's all going to even. At least G-Dubs made us all unhappy about something. So,
I mean, they made me happy. Like, Slaves to Darkness is in a good shape, and we're about to look at Nurgle. Nurgle's in good shape. But the only standout in Nurgle to me that is really bad, or not really bad, Putrid Blight Kings went up 25 points.
Yeah, see, when you look at these changes, though, compared to Slanesh, that makes me a little less impressed with the changes to Slanesh, looking at the changes to Nurgle.
But if you do the math on the increase in Putrid Blight Kings, people were running like 40 Blight Kings. So that's 8 lots of 5. So that's 200 points, which is... So your army is going up 200 points, but it's going down 280 because you're not taking Blight Cyst and you're not taking Lord of Blights anymore.
Yes.
So you're basically playing the same army without Rend.
I think that Maggotkin of Nurgle require a new battle tome to accompany any points changes.
Yeah. I was saying for a long time, like, oh, it's fine. Like, the book is good. I'm afraid they'll screw it up if they make a new book for it. Now it's really showing its age that this was pre-second edition.
Yeah,
and like this book, they need a new book now.
There's a lot of great concepts in the book, and it would be a shame to lose them, but it needs an update. Because I don't think that where it sits inside its tome right now matches the requirements of an army in 3rd edition. I definitely think it needs a new tome to go with the points adjustments.
And a consolidation of all of your abilities, right?
Yes. And a consolidation of the fact that there's stuff in Broken Realms and in Wrath of the Everchosen, plus the Battle Tome, plus there's stuff out of the Skaven book and stuff out of Slaves to Darkness. Don't have stuff out of Beasts of Chaos anymore, but and we don't have the Tamerkan Horde stuff anymore either.
Which sucks, that's my favorite. That was my favorite force out of Nurgle anywhere. I loved it. I loved the theme. I loved the dirty, nasty frogs and all that sort of shit. That was great. I'm still sad about that.
Yeah, Great Unclean One went up 30 points. But other than Blight Kings going up and them basically going up to make up for your battalion plus the tax hero that you are playing with.
Yeah.
Not a lot of big changes in Nurgle other than that. And their average is 0.4. And Buscoil Blight Lords went down. Only 5 points, but they went down. That makes me happy.
Ian Botts is going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
No one knows who Ian Botts is on this panel.
I believe I've played against him.
At Triumph, you might have. Tall British guy, very boisterous. Triumph 18. He brought in donuts. He brought in like a truck worth of donuts, coffee, breakfast, egg sandwiches on the Sunday.
Shit,
I didn't play him.
Yeah. Josh remember. Well, no, It was also 3 years ago, so even if you did see him, you might not remember him just because it was so long ago. Huh?
You said I remember.
No, I was saying you might.
Okay.
Yeah, I played him at Adepticon. Him and his wife Kelly. It was a change host and a bunch of horrors, and he was packing the Lord of Afflictions and a bunch of the Puscoils, and he just ran them forward and got Blades of Putrefaction off on them, and they just destroyed all my tigers, the Stormcast tigers. That was fun. So he's happy that they marginally went down.
But yeah, like the things that hurt Nurgle right now is that like Blades of Putrefaction doesn't work on Blight Kings or Blight Lords anymore because you can only have that 6 to hit trigger one effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you either get the mortal wound or you get the D6 hits. So that's bad. So now there's no good target in the book anyway for Blades of Putrefaction. And there is some argument of whether or not the Wither Stave works against other things that trigger on 6s for the same reason. I think it does work personally, but it's going to need an FAQ.
Oh yeah, like say for Venari or like anything that does mortal wounds on 6s. But I'm making
it makes you reroll your 6s to hit.
Yeah.
But it's worded, I think, as unmodified 6s.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's being triggered at a different time than when a reroll should be triggered.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's dumb technical rules stuff, and I hate it. Let's all laugh at Tzeentch.
Please, yes, let's do that. Sucked in.
Oh, I hate that army.
21.5% average increase. Suck it, you stupid bird.
Like, it's just not fun to play against this army. Like,
You will still see Fate Weaver in Legion of the First Prince armies with Be'lakor.
Yep.
It's
still good at 435.
Why did
the army's not an S tier army though? Like people forget this army isn't an S tier army. Well, it hasn't been of late, and it does still have a few things that it struggles with. I just can't help but hate it still and think that this is awesome.
Yeah. Flamers went up 25%. Exalted Flamers went up 40%.
Yeah, but they're still
horrors for some reason went down 5 points. I don't understand that.
I think it's just to say, take the pink horrors, stop mucking about in the book and taking the stupid blues and brimstones. That's not the point.
Yeah.
That's all it's there for. It's just take the pinks. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, and there's going to be a bunch of FAQs because the pinks don't work like as intended between rally. What happens with coherency? Because you know what rally is, right, Josh?
I'm gonna have to. I'm reading as we talk. The reason I'm so quiet is I'm reading
the core rules. There's a command. There's a command ability where you can, if you're not in combat, use a command ability on a unit and roll a dice for every 6 you bring back a model. It's like I'm just gonna bring back pinks. Thank you. Is that how that works?
Yeah. I think, Paul, actually, you said this in a recent episode of something you did where they've made all of these changes and the new edition, it's not putting you on rails. It's just guiding you in the right direction and pushing you towards that sort of play style. And I do agree that those points increases there with the horrors seems to be one of those things where it's like, look, this is how you're supposed to do this. Go and do it that way. People will still tell GW to get fucked and do it the way they want, though, and that's the great thing about the game. But
yeah. So hopefully this powers down Tzeentch a little bit. Change host is gone. Thank God. Let's just leave change host in the trash can and not deal with that ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Their endless spells went up a lot. I've never even seen anybody use them.
It's still gonna hurt. It's still gonna hurt Zinx players. They're still gonna look at their army and go, "Ah, shit," because that sucks. And if you're out there listening to me now, I don't care. I don't care at all. Congratulations, that sucks for you, but you needed it. I'm sorry.
I've suffered at the hands of that awful army so many times. Like
Yes.
it's like sometimes sometimes I win and I hate myself.
Nine Storm Fiends. You can never charge Thankwall.
Yeah.
What else am I thinking of that just happened? Like Skaven didn't need to do any.
Can you just say how you can not charge Thankful anymore just a few more times so that we make sure that sinks in everywhere?
Well, you throw a chaff unit at Thankful to make him use.
Brimstones?
Well, but not every army is going to have. I'm not sure Stormcast are going to have access to Brimstone Horrors, Aetherwing, but like you charge Thankwall, no matter what. Like either he spends the command point on Overwatch to kill, say, the Aetherwings, or Unleash Hell, sorry, and he does like 30 mortal wounds to the Aetherwings, and then you charge with the your unit that's actually going to kill him. No matter what, that's the only way to do it, because then he can't unleash hell because he's already in combat with another unit. But no matter what, you have to charge with a sacrificial lamb first at Thankwall, or you can never charge Thankwall because he's just going to kill whatever unit you charge him with.
And you wouldn't feel that so much in the current edition. However, now that we're moving into third, where your MSU units are smaller, that sacrificial lamb, you'll feel that sacrifice more in the new edition than you would in the old.
Yes.
So that's massive. I actually can hear Vince giggling right now as we talk about it.
He's gluing Skaven heads onto his starter set. For Stormcast, he's fine. The army is Skig.
The Vermin Lords.
Overall, Skaven came out pretty good.
They did, yeah. Go out and buy all the Vermin Lords if you don't have them.
Yeah. Storm Fiends went up, but that's probably almost entirely because of Warp Fire Throwers and Unleash Hell.
Yeah.
Plague Monks went up a little bit. The Vermin Lords all moved around. Plague Priest on Plague Furnace went up 45 points. That is interesting. I never thought that the Furnace was the problem with Plague Monks.
Is there some kind of like synergy with like spellcast? Oh no, it's a priest.
Yeah, it's a priest.
That's why. It's just a priest. It gets a 45-point hit because it now has a bonus ability to do damage with prayers.
When you compare that point increase to the Screaming Bell with the Gracie sitting on top of it, though, it's like...
It can also dispel invocations, which is another big deal.
Yes.
So that inherently, all priests, if it has the word priest on it, it's probably going up.
Yeah.
The only way for Luminous to get...
Sorry, Gracie on Screaming Bell, I think, was 180 when the book dropped. Now it's up to 265. But, I mean, the stock on all of these Vermin Lords went up a lot.
Yes, and not to mention...
They all have command abilities that are good, but weren't good enough to spend your one command point on. Yeah. Now you have a bunch of extra command points to actually use them on.
Yep.
And the Warp Seer is just like, oh, I can only use Inspiring Presence once? Yeah, fuck that. My whole board is immune to Battle Shock.
Yeah. Yeah, they got off pretty good. And not to mention the large amount of heroes and stuff that they've got access to. And the new rules and stuff for buffing, for helping heroes out and making them stronger and giving them extra abilities or spells or casting and all that crap. I think Skaven are going to be in a good position, which is good because they're not doing so well currently. So this is going to give them a much needed boost. And I genuinely hope to see more Skaven players around now. That would be really
in our group chat, you've known my long problems with Skaven. So when you say they're not doing too good right now, I struggle to empathize with that position.
So look at it holistically.
Yeah.
So look at tournament results
Sure.
from around the global meta, and then compare their results to those of other armies.
Yes.
In your local meta, or going to your store and things like that, I think the results might be very different. But that also depends on who you're playing against as well.
Yeah. No,
so anything I say,
you and I can
globally.
talk about that separately at a later date. Here it's and I have. It's just like, so Skaven, why are they not the best army in the game? And our essay discussion goes from there. Not the time for that.
Yeah.
Yep. This definitely makes me want to get a Thankful.
Yes.
Because that is not a big enough points increase for what he does with Unleash Hell.
Mm-hmm.
Grey Seer didn't move for some reason. That's odd. Claw Lord only up 5 points, and he's got way more command points to fuel his command ability now. Small move on Battle Line. Small move on Giselles and Warp Lightning Cannons. I mean, I feel like most of this is pretty fair changes.
They're good. I look at the average. I mean, the average speaks for itself as well. So you're fine. If you're a Skaven player, don't stress. You're in a good spot. You're all good.
And Warp Lightning Vortex only went up 10 points. I'm totally fine with. Because that's a KO spell anyway. Just a quick note. Legion of Asgore officially in the bin. No more Chaos Dwarves.
Rumored to be coming back in plastic in the next year and a half.
I don't like that.
What, that they're getting their own army in a year and a half in plastic for the first time? Well, it's rumored. I'm just saying that. I'm going to let you say your piece first. I don't want to trample on you and say you're preemptively like your opinion is wrong. So go ahead.
I just don't like it when they retire armies, because I know a lot of people that play that army, and just you paint your whole army and then you got GW going, you can't play this army anymore, and that to me that feels really bad.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I had to say. I hate that when they do that.
Counterpoint.
Tomb Kings too.
Yeah, counterpoint.
Yeah,
if I may. So they are no longer available for sale on the Forge World web store, effectively. Would you be okay with losing to something that effectively no longer exists within the Games Workshop product range?
As long as there are rules for it, I don't care.
All right. So from a business perspective, they only want stuff. This was the main thing with Tomb Kings, because a Tomb Kings army, I remember, I want to say 2017-ish, won best overall at a Warhammer World event. And because they no longer were selling Tomb Kings models, they didn't really know what to do with it. They wanted to celebrate the army on their website, and they really couldn't because it doesn't exist anymore. So it just conflicts with the brand. So this is sort of like that incremental commitment to only the stuff we sell is the stuff we promote. So
that's fine.
Right. Now, as getting to your second point, now the next logical conclusion after that would be, well, we have these people who we have this market, this demand for evil dwarves with funny hats. Why don't we make those our own miniatures ranged in plastic? Doesn't matter how long it takes. We're going to do it for Age of Sigmar. So while it's no consolation now, like I get it that it's not fair that something that, even though like there were models for it at some point, is no longer available. There is a rumor going around that within the next 2 years, I should say year and a half, by the end of next year, there should be at some point a plastic version of evil dwarves with funny hats and guns.
So are you saying that it's no longer available on the web store? Anywhere you can't buy Chaos Dwarves anymore?
Well, as far as I understood it, like I remember seeing an article. Like, I'm guessing you pulled up Forge World right now and it's still available.
No. I'm just thinking about putting my 3D printers on.
Well,
Right. No, I get that. I'm just saying from the business perspective, where Games Workshop is thinking of like, well, we only want stuff that we sell to have legal rules in our organized play games.
mhm.
You get what I mean? Like that's a logical step. From
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that GW needs to do a better job of sunsetting some of these armies and not just like we're not all of a sudden just coming out of nowhere and
it's been 5 years. Like they've had points
stopped selling them.
Yes, they stopped selling. Like, all right, keep going. I'm gonna look it up. But I mean, if they have say they have stopped selling them.
Yeah.
Like usually that's what happens. Like the Magma Dragon, the Rogue Idol's gone. It is what it is. Like
that's fine. I just think they should be more vocal about like what models they're stopping to sell, what they plan on sunsetting, so that way players can.
Yeah, I think when you build up a big army like that one, or for me it was Tomb Kings. If there was more of a like, hey, listen, just a heads up, we've just started 3rd edition, but at the beginning of 4th edition, we're actually going to phase that army out.
Right.
Then I'm emotionally attached to that army, but I've got time to.
Yeah, they didn't make it. They didn't make it clear for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can go through my 7 stages of grief, then sweet.
And I just think they should do that out of respect for the players. Like if they were going to cancel Khorne, and I know they never will because Khorne is a
right. Just for the purposes of this example.
But for the purposes of this example, as a player, what I would want to know is 1 year before they cancel it. Hey, look. This is your last year for this army. We're sunsetting this army. And everyone's going to bitch and moan, but it's way better than me throughout the entire year buying up and painting all this stuff, having unfinished products, and at the end of the year finding out you can't play with that stuff you've been painting all this year.
Yeah, all of it's gone.
It allows the community to then also prepare for that as a whole as well.
And then your Khorne Dragon is no longer available either. I'm sorry, Josh.
I know. I only spent $600 on it. I only put like $1,000 paint job on it. Oh, that sucks. Like they're gonna sunset that, and it's like I get it, but at the same time, I'd like a little heads up. Like, these aren't small investments for people in terms of time and in money and. Out of respect for the players, I think GW should be a little bit more forthcoming about.
Yes. Now I have 1 point, and I have one more point after this. It's slightly it's not as strong, which is why I'm saving it for last. It's just one extra thing. So the only place where you cannot play them is standardized organized play events. There is nothing stopping you from setting up your own event. Or going to any number of other organized play events where the stuff is so perfectly legal.
Look,
you understand? Like, and I get it.
I understand what you're saying, but like,
right. That's why I said it's not as strong because it's like, well, our ideal like just standardized way of having a good time at Warhammer. It's like, well, we want to go to those regular match play tournaments and like play games, hang out. Doesn't matter how competitive we are when we go to that weekend. We want to play with our toys there.
Yeah.
And right. I'm saying, like, if you wanted to go to Realms of War, if you wanted to play like an Animosity or Holy Hammer, stuff like that, or Holy War, sorry, it's those options aren't entirely off the table. Anyway,
that's a separate.
Speaking of Khorne, that is our next faction.
There you go, Josh.
Oh God, I haven't even looked at these. So this is the first time I looked at them. Skull Cannons. Let's look at them. All right, so I think Skull Cannons are priced right considering you can shoot more than once, right? With the command ability, isn't that a thing?
Unleash Hell.
Yeah, Unleash Hell is going to be crazy on these things because, like, demons default have like reroll hit.
Unleash Hell is stand and shoot. It's not shoot twice.
It's stand and shoot.
Yeah, it's a charge reaction basically.
Okay, is there a max unit size for Skull Cannons, or are they just one model piece?
They are not singles, but they are also not battle lines, so they're going to be max unit size of 2.
Right. So that might be an issue. I think that the points increase might be unwarranted here unless they adjust the war scroll to like kind of like multiple shots but less damage. One of the things I always had an issue with skull cannons was they're very like they do a ton of damage or they just do nothing the whole game because all their attacks are like very high damage but wrapped into single hits. And it just makes them wildly inconsistent. And if you don't have them in a big, like you have to have at least 3 together to do really anything with them, anything meaningful in terms like statistically. So I think skull cannons, the fact that they can't be taken in a unit of 3 is a little rough because that means you can't bump all 3 up at the same time. And you also can't shoot all of them at the same time. And I think you can only choose so many reinforced units in a single game, correct?
Right.
So you're not going to want to use your skull cannons for those 4. Okay. I don't think you'd want to use your skull cannons for your reinforced units. I guess I'm not really sure. Maybe you would want to take 2. I don't know.
Take 3 just in 2 separate units.
Yeah, but then they're worthless. They're worthless. You need to be able to buff the whole unit so it gets all the attacks.
So Blades of Khorne is another Nurgle case where in order for these points adjustments and everything to work properly and for the army to function correctly in the new edition, I think it needs another battle time as well to go along with it. Because like what you're saying,
well,
it doesn't what that unit needs and what it does doesn't match with what it costs and how you can put it into a functioning list. So
it needs to be 3 models because all the buffs revolve around buffing all the models at once. Otherwise, you just don't have enough to buff it. And you got a points increase, and it's wildly inconsistent. Without having 3, it's kind of just a mediocre unit. Flesh Hounds, it's fine. 5-point increase. Flesh Hounds are really good value. Bloodletters, that's fine. 5-point increase. I understand the games are going to be smaller. They're going to get into combat more often. But the fact that it's going to cost you to reinforce them is a little tricky because their buffs revolve around having 20 or more models. So you kind of don't want to take bloodletters in units of 10. You're going to have to spend your reinforcements on the bloodletters. And that makes them really bad because I think you're going to want to reinforce other units in this army now. Speaking of which, the fact that you can only reinforce so many times makes Khorne a lot better in some ways because you're going to have a lot of little units on the field, which makes Khorne a better army in that sense that you're going to kill a lot of individual units now. Yeah. Whereas before, everyone was running these massive units. You'd play against a death player, you'd play against a Nurgle player, and you might, or even what more worse, you'd play against 40 Bone Reaper blob, and then you just couldn't kill anything, and you're like, great game. But yeah, bloodletters, they're okay. Blood Reavers, they're still going to be taken. I think they're great because they're cheap and they die, so whatever. Although the fact that you have to maintain coherency is going to be a real pain in your ass because now you have to keep your army much tighter together. I don't know. That's another issue with the bloodletters and the blood reavers. They're not on 25 mils; they're all on 32s. So,
right.
I'm not feeling that. That's pretty rough. I hope they change the base sizes for these guys. I know it would suck to.
They won't do that.
But yeah, they won't do it. So the plus 10 and the 32s in units of 10. I don't know. I think Blood Warriors are going to be good. I don't know. Something I think is going to be better in this version of the game are like inherently better units. So, like something that doesn't necessarily anything with rerolls built into it, I think is going to get better because flat buffs are limited by plus or minus 1, but like these reroll buffs are typically harder to find, I think. And so like, yeah, give me plus 1 to hit, I can already reroll. Give me plus 1 to wound, I can already reroll that or this or the other thing. And like reroll saves gonna be, I think the Blood Warriors, the Chaos Warriors are gonna be pretty cool with the plus 1 to hit or plus 1 to save abilities that exist in the game. But I think Blood Warriors will be pretty good. I like Blood Warriors, although the fact that they come in units of 10 is also very annoying. Herald of Corrin, he was always shit. He's still shit, and now he costs more. Bloodscrater is good. Bloodstoker is going to be even better because it's going to be a lot of small units. It's going to be easier to use him. He gives reroll wound rolls, so he's going to be great. I think people are going to take Bloodstoker a lot more. I think you're going to see a lot more Mortals coming out of Khorne, actually, because Mortals work better in smaller units. Exalted Deathbringer, I know that me and Vince had it with Exalted Deathbringer. He used to be better. He's okay. Herald of Khorne on a Blood Throne. Should have been a priest. Still sucks. Korgus Kull. I think Korgus Kull is actually good. I've played him a couple times, and I think now that these smaller units exist, I don't think he's as risky to take. Put it that way. So good. Lord of Khorne on a Juggernaut is actually really good. I think he's going to stay good. He's 8 wounds, so he's still subject to the Lookout Sir, and he's a 3-up save, and he does pretty good damage. Mighty Lord of Khorne, I wouldn't even bother. I'd just take Korgus Kull. He's way cooler. 40 points more, and he's worth it. No. He's a lot less. He's only 30 points more. He's totally worth it. I'd say Korgus Kull is a big win. He might even have a bonus now because they were saying like some of these name characters give you extra command points. I wouldn't be surprised if they add a little extra command point there because he's so special. Scylla, he sucks. Don't take him. Scar Bloodwrath, he's a god, and he's only up 5 points. Take this guy every single chance you get. He comes back over and over again. I think that's going to give a lot of value in the next version of the game, especially when it comes to getting blood type points and shit like that. Skull Grinder, he's okay. If you get him into combat. I guess the board's smaller, so that helps. Slaughter Priest, everyone's talking about the Slaughter Priest like he's not as good. He still gets to use his blood blessing and his prayer at the same time. Because based on the War Scroll and what I was reading, the blood blessing is not a prayer. It is an ability.
Sorry, guys, I've got a jet off. I've got a date with my daughters.
All right.
Have a good one.
Enjoy.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
I'll stick through the death points.
I still think people are bitching in Khorne because they're saying Slaughter Priest isn't as good. The only thing that's going to be restricted on Slaughter Priest, as far as I can tell, in the current rules, are that you can't cast a prayer and a judgment at the same time. But from the looks of things, because you can only go plus or minus 1 on all these stats, I'm thinking that 2 judgments in your list, maybe 1, you're going to want to use your priest to cast the judgment anyways at the beginning of the game. The only concern I have with these judgments is that, unlike many of the other factions, the Khorne judgments require a gated roll, or they disappear. But now that your opponent can get rid of these judgments, that's kind of a big deal. It makes the judgments a lot worse. So I'm really hoping they update the War Scrolls, they increase the price the way they have here, and they say these things don't go away anymore at the end of the turn. Instead, your opponent has to like unsummon them, and they become this like utterly awful curse on the field. These things are real strong, but I think they're going to be real weak because they already have built-in mechanics that make them disappear, and most of the time they do disappear. Because you got to roll what on Wrathax is 85 points, and you got to roll a 5 to keep it in play at the end of the turn, 5+. So it's most of the time it's going to go away, and most of the time you're not going to get it off. If you do get it off, great. But 85 points, I don't think it's worth it, unless they update the scrolls. If they update the scrolls, cross my fingers. I hope they do. I think that those things will be worth taking. Valkia, she hasn't been updated. She's just, I don't know. She's like a little tiny bloodthirster that dies. Insensate Rage Thirster. These guys are all still good. But the problem with the Bloodthirsters now, outside of Scarbrand, is that they aren't able to function with Tyrants of Blood. Tyrants of Blood was the big to-do for the Bloodthirster lists. Now you don't have that. In match play, you have like the standard battalions. Am I right? Is that
yep.
Not a thing? Yeah, so the Bloodthirsters functioned entirely off of Tyrants of Blood, and now that no longer exists. Instead, we still have Scarbrand. He's still house. He hadn't gone up in points, which makes him amazing. Actually, Scarbrand, I think, is going to be a house because he's got slower movement, but the board shrunk. And he can still be used in conjunction with the sub faction, which lets him attack twice, and you get command points every single round, and you can use blood type points. What?
Josh, you can ally in a wizard, right?
You can.
So you can ally. One of the core lore spells is called Levitate. You know what Scarbrand doesn't have? He doesn't have Fly. You can now give him Fly. You can now give him Fly.
Korn would not be pleased, but if you levitated Scarbrand, that would be bonkers.
Yes.
You just have to keep yourself away from your shrine, and you'd have to keep yourself away from your Bannerman, if Blood Secretor, if he was around. Otherwise, you'd have a tough time casting that spell.
Sure, I'm just saying that the ability is out there to give him Fly.
Nuts. Yeah, if you can get that off, if you can, what was it? What's the guy we always used to use with the spell that makes things 18 inches and fly? Why can't I think of his name?
Sail the Faithless.
Sail. Yeah, you can sail Scarbrand. Scarbrand does guaranteed 32 mortal wounds when he attacks in the double attack. Attack first, attack second. And Scarbrand, this guy is value. I think Scarbrand's home run in this army. I think you got to take him. Wrathicorn Bloodthirster, he's decent. +1 to dispel. He can also +1 to dispel when he's dispelling endless spells. So I guess that's pretty sweet. He is also a monster. All monsters are better in this version. You can destroy your opponent's terrain they own, which is pretty sweet. And that's another thing. Scarbrand is not only a leader, he is a behemoth in addition. Does he get all the bonuses for being a hero and a monster?
Yep.
So that makes him even better. This guy is fucking crazy. I say he's like, I can't see a list without him right now. He's that good. Blood Crushers are okay. They're good. I think that they're going to be good in this version better. In fact, because the units are smaller, so they're going to have more opportunities to attack. Not as much damage is going to be done as quickly. There's not as many Death Stars. You're not seeing this like I slap you and then you slap me kind of gameplay. It's going to be a lot less of that in this new version, especially with some of these command abilities that you retreat on the fly. I think that's pretty cool. Garrick's Reavers are always going to be good. I know they look like they're shit, but they're not. At 65 points to get 5 models, that's awesome. It's only 1-inch coherency. This is one of the few opportunities you have to make a big net in front of your opponent. You know, I say big, it's only really going to be like 12 inches, but that's significant.
To extend your net.
Yeah. It's 65 points to save your heroes from one turn of your enemy's like blowout turn, whatever. Karanak, he's like a little mini Bloodthirster. I think he's better than Valkia. And he's also he is technically a hero, but he is not a leader. So he's still able to give demons their like rerolls and stuff like that. He's a pretty good hero. He hasn't gone up. He's gone up 10 points. He's a little mini. He's just a better Valkyrie, I think. Korgrass. These guys are always. You see some people try to use them. I think they're still going to be actually really good because with the smaller units, you're going to see a lot more like what do you call them? Leadership tests? God damn it! Why can't I?
Battle shock.
Battle shock. You're going to see a lot of battle shock. Korgrath's. Is there a limit to battle shock modifiers?
No.
So this is going to be
Lumineth play a lot in that space too.
Yeah, they're going to be a real pain in the ass because each one of them, if they kill any models, gives -1 to battle shock within 12 inches. I think I have to look it up. So what people will do is run armies of these guys and just like run amok and like make it hit battle shock all over the place as long as they kill one model, and you'll have like -8. Whatever it's going to really suck. I think there's some thing to do there. I don't know that it's going to be great, but like somebody will get annoyed someday. Mighty Skull Crushers are okay. They're a nice little anvil, but they're a little expensive. I think they don't do enough damage. Riptooth and Magor's Fiends are excellent. They're cheap AF, and they're just a little net in your opponent's face. Get some blood type points. Skull Reapers are going to be tops. They already have built-in rerolls. However, they might not be as good because they have that ability where, like, if a unit has 5 or more models, you get to re-roll hit rolls. And because people are taking smaller units, you're not going to get that off as often. So maybe not so good. However, they do have the built-in bloodletter ability. I think Wrathmongers are where it's at right now, considering you now have that prayer that gives you the Skull Reaper ability, and they have the +1 to hit built in when they make a charge. So you'll hit with like 20, 30 attacks, whatever. They explode and do mortal wounds when they die, and plus they'll do mortal wounds on hit rolls of 6s because the ability from the priests. I thought that was pretty cool. And again, these guys, they all have to be updated if they're going to be worth these points. I think Hexgorger Skulls are still going to be really good, but the fact that Wrathax costs 85 points makes me think they updated the War Scroll. I don't think these guys disappear anymore in between rounds. That's what I think.
All right. That was a dissertation on corn.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Beast of Chaos. Ungor went up 10 points. That's bad for them.
I'm playing a violin for them.
Is that really bad? Is that really bad?
They can't take marks anymore because the battalion's went away.
Yeah. I mean, I think that probably hurt this army in ways that like losing battalions didn't hurt other armies.
Yeah, they need some kind of update.
Yeah.
Maybe
overall, their points changes are pretty minimal. Their average 5.7% change.
Do you think
the
that
Wildfire Taurus cracked the ceiling and is 110 now?
Oof. I mean,
I'm hoping they add some kind of like you can choose your faction for some of the units.
Yeah, well, the thing about Beast of Chaos is like, and they haven't just been bad since they got a book. They've been bad, like, since well into Warhammer Fantasy. Because what do you do with, like, the mindless goat barbarian? You know what I mean?
They're bad in Warhammer Total War too.
Yeah, it's
bad everywhere.
That it needs a focus. It needs a trick other than just mindlessly shooting with hordes of bodies at a thing and hoping it dies.
Hordes are nerfed now.
All right.
They don't even have their thing anymore. It's like, what is this army doing?
Oh, all right. On to death.
Mm-hmm.
Flesh Eater Quartz. Overall average only up 3%.
I think this army is going to be so good.
Yeah, I agree.
This is like where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, Gristlegore with the monstrous rampages.
Yeah.
It's
going to be so stupid. This army is going to be like top tier. I'm looking at this thing thinking little units attacking zombie dragons, no Death Stars. These things are going to be hard to kill, and they're going to kill everything.
Yep.
I think something in the core rules changed so that a Terragite, when it dies, can only attack once.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
one ability cannot make a monster attack more than twice in a phase.
More than once in a phase. No.
Well, yes. Yeah.
No, you're right. More than twice, because so it can't pile in an attack again on death, which is already ridiculous. Like,
right?
Come on.
This army is so good right now, and I think that like this army is just going to ravage. Is it didn't need battalions?
Yeah.
It's so good.
You can now stand and shoot with crook flayers.
And the board is smaller, so they're guaranteed. These charges are like damn near guaranteed.
Yep.
Good.
Flesh Eater Quartz is their stock is rising.
Yes, very high. These guys are so good. Independently good units are great, and they can summon on the borders. These guys have got to get War Scroll updates or something.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Bone Reapers, virtually unchanged in net.
But they need a complete FAQ because right now their army doesn't work in the core rules.
Yes, the bone tithes. Well, it does technically if they don't use any command points.
Well, they can't use command points.
Right. So they just work independently.
Well, no, they don't get the versions of the core command abilities because they're
They don't get
Right.
any.
right.
They
So
never
that'll
did.
change. So that'll change.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, Mortek Guard are a lot worse. A lot worse. And the fact that you can only like take those guys in what units of 30 now?
Yeah.
No, they were always 10-30.
I thought that you could take Mortek Guard in 40s.
You might have been able to.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever did.
We never. It shows a bunch of us being OBR players.
Yeah, I play against OBR a lot. One of my friends is really into OBR, and it sucks.
Ross, is it Ross?
Yes, it's Ross. Those catapults are horrible. Let me just look at this. I don't think that this is going to change much for OBR, other than that they won't be able to screen as well.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal. Catacross got lowered in points, and Catacross is way better than people realize. I play against Catacross all the time, and he whoops my ass, and he's just so good.
Yeah. How is the command point denial thing worded on Catacross? Is it every time you gain a command point, he can deny
the
it?
First command point gained each round, you can deny it on a 4+.
Okay.
That's going to make him a lot weaker, and I think that's why they reduced him in points. Because sometimes I'd play against my friend, and it would just be like, I just wouldn't get any command points, and he would whoop my ass because I couldn't do anything special. So that'll definitely make things a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
Archon didn't change. Archon is a house.
Yeah, he's really
Disagree.
Really?
Yes.
Protection of Gash is so good.
Fair enough.
I've played against Archon many times, and like sometimes he'll just die.
No. I'll say he has different tools available to him in Bone Reapers, and he's making different units from what I'm used to playing him with better. So
Yes.
I will concede a lack of knowledge of how he interacts with OBR.
Yeah,
in terms of what I've piloted. So yeah, never mind.
What about the catapults? Did they go up? Where are those? I don't see them on this list for some reason.
First entry, Mortek Crawler.
Shit. 15 points. Yeah, I don't think this is going to change my buddy's list very much. I think he's just going to take like one different unit, and then I'm going to just be dying again. I
already talked to him. It doesn't change his list at all.
Oh, you talked to him?
Yeah, because he had so many extra points in his list that he couldn't do anything with because he had like 90 points extra in his list.
Oh, so he was just kind of like filling it with crap.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So he had all kinds of slack, so his list doesn't change.
I think Bone Reapers are gonna be fine.
Yeah. I think they're gonna be better off than a lot of other armies are because of all the changes.
Yeah. I agree.
And Mortek Guard are on 25 mils. Like that is really good.
Yes. You'll have to keep them more densely packed, but yeah, it's not that big a deal. This army's still good.
Night Haunt. Why did Night Haunt's battle line go up?
Because it was so good.
Yeah, but the rest of the army's not that good.
So
And their units got smaller. They had the most 1040s, I think, in the game.
Yeah. Grimghast Reapers went down 5 points, though.
They needed to. They were too expensive at this point.
Well, yeah, you can't take them in Soblet anymore.
Yeah. And that and big units aren't going to be as common. So their ability to get rerolls on these large units is not that's coming to an end.
Yep. A lot of the other changes are pretty small across this, but they got hit in the battle line pretty hard. Bunch of stuff that people don't really take that much went up.
Soul Bite. Can you still take what the hell is it? The one where they can resurrect them. Why can't I think of her name? The singing girl. What? Lady Oleander's the Legion of Grief. Can you still take that, or we don't know yet?
No, you can't. It's gone.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for them. Now they're just gonna have to rely on those 10s.
Yep. Soul Blight. I mean, it would have been nice if whoever threw this in here put in like the old Legions of Nagash points, so we had some comparison. But
it wasn't much change from the battle zone.
yeah. All right, and finally, Destruction. There were some changes in the Gargants, and I'm not sure if that actually like changes how any of the army composition works. Like if the Gatebreaker going up 35 points actually hurts anything.
Well, I don't think it's going to hurt very much. Oh my god!
And what's it? The Megas gain battle line status.
That's
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah, now you can just run a 4-model army.
So I don't think it matters because like there's a lot of things that went down, and then you have like a model that you would take 1, maybe 2 of that went up.
Yeah.
So
I'm
all
gonna
the
head
stuff
out now, guys, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Have a good one. It was nice talking with you, Josh. Congratulations on the new baby.
Have a
Thank you
good
for having me on,
evening.
Paul. Have a good one.
All right. You okay there?
Yeah, I let Finn do a little wave.
Oh,
I
nice.
wiggled his arm. He's using the bathroom right now, so I have to change him soon. I can feel him going right all over in there. You know how it is.
Yep. All right. So Kragnos went down 65 points.
Kragnos. War clans. Oh, I've never even seen him on the battlefield, so I don't even know how to feel about it.
I mean, he's been out for like 2 weeks. So
Yeah, exactly. Like Cruel Boys haven't changed. Damn. Wow. Everyone who plays Cruel Boys is going to be so happy.
yeah. Bone Splitters, pretty average changes across the board. Nothing really that exciting.
Mm-hmm. Those Arrow Boys.
Iron Jaws also very average changes.
Okay. I want to talk about these guys. I think these guys are going to be good.
Yeah.
Because the Iron Jaws literally want small units. And if you're going to make everything small units, then Iron Jaws are going to gobble them all up.
Yeah. Gore-Gruntas not being able to be taken in 6s anymore hurts a little bit. I mean, you can still take them in 6s, but they're not effective in 6s.
I don't even think it's... Why wouldn't they be effective in 6s?
Because of the coherency rules.
Oh, you're right. Ooh, that hurts.
Yep.
Well, either way, I still think Gore-Gruntas will be good. I think you'll smash your massive blobs of Gore-Gruntas into your opponent's army. Oh, but you don't have the battalions anymore. So the Gore-Gruntas don't get all those crazy movement in the beginning.
Yep.
I still think they'll be good. I think Iron Jaws will be a little bit better. I don't think they're going to be over the top, but now that I think about it, they relied a lot on their battalions. So
yeah, they really did rely a lot on battalions. But I feel like they didn't pick up as many points as they were spending on battalions. So they might be able to fit in maybe an extra 5 Ard boys.
You know what? That's a great point. I think a lot of these point changes, you're still going to be able to run all the units you used to ran if you ran a battalion.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as people think, because these battalions are going to be just not using them anymore. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Gloomspite gets their basic battle line went up a pretty decent amount.
You know, I didn't have a lot of experience with these guys outside of like troll style lists, and I like playing against them, but they seem kind of weak.
Let's get down to the trolls.
Not
Dankhold Trogoth, no change. Fellwater up 5 points. Rot Guts up 5 points. So I mean, I feel like the troll build is comparatively better.
Yeah.
Like overall, like this was not that bad of a change for Gits. And there's nothing that really sticks out as like, oh man, this is a really bad change for them. Like, nah. I think they just kind of went marginally up everywhere like everybody else did. And they didn't go up quite as much as a lot of other armies. But I don't think they were using battalions very often. So, all right. And then finally, I think this is the last one anyway. Yep. Ogre Maw Tribes. Gluttons got changed to minimum size 6. Which is awkward.
That's really awkward because they have really big bases. Aren't they 60 mils?
50s.
50s. Yeah, I knew they were up there, which is going to be very hard to play around.
Yeah, and their points went up.
You're going to take 3 units of those as a tax. That's it. Or you're going to run like something that makes something else battle line.
Yeah, Frost Savers went up a whole bunch.
Yeah, but they're cheap anyway.
Yeah. Lead Belchers used to be min size 2. They're min size 4 now.
Those guys are actually pretty good. If you're they fucking suck. They hit you so hard. 76 wound unit. Which unit is the 76 wound unit?
I don't know. I mean, I think now you can run 18 Gluttons in a unit.
Yeah, but that's like...
I think their max was 12 before.
How are you going to get those into combat now, though?
Never. You're never going to.
Yeah, they don't even... They have like 1 inch range, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, that's worthless.
Yeah. So, and they went up on average a little bit more than the global average. So,
Gluttons at max unit size. Yeah, that's crazy. But you'll never get to swing with all of them, Marcus. Like you gotta keep 2-inch coherency. Maybe ogres will have a special rule because they're giant bases or something like that.
Yeah.
They sit on objectives. Yeah, that's true. Aren't they 5-up wound save though? Like something low.
Yeah, they're a 5-up save.
Yeah, but they have like a shrug, don't they?
Nope.
No. Oof.
Only the Stonehorn has ward save.
God, Stonehorns are good.
And all of the Stonehorns and Thunder Tusks went up.
Mornfang Tax still looks good.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that list doesn't really change much.
Yeah. Honestly, these guys have always just played really fair.
Yep. Well, except for when their first book dropped.
Yes. Oh, you mean the very, very first one?
Their very first Beast Claw Raiders book.
When they were a tier 1 army that just crushed everyone? Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah, because they were playing like a completely different game as every other army because nobody else had allegiance abilities.
And they were like, well, they didn't even play allegiance abilities. They just played, at the time, they just did 6 mortal wounds with their Thunder Tusks.
Yeah, and it was on like a 2-up.
And it was on a 2-up. at like 12-inch range, and they moved 12 inches, and they had the destruction allegiance, which was the best allegiance in the game.
Yep.
Everybody moved D6. So
yeah. So how are you feeling about this in general?
I got to play some games. I think overall it's a really good thing. I think that they're working the rules around the way that they want the game to be played. Lots of little units, a lot less Death Star stuff going on, which I really like. I'm so sick and tired of getting to the table and dying on turn 1, and I think a lot of these rules are there to stop that kind of stuff from happening. The turn 1 blow you out of the water kind of stuff, like the elves with the ranged units that just can shoot through everything, or the Zinch list with the flamers, and like all the stuff that used to exist where it's like, okay, I get to go first, and you're like, oh fuck. And so I think it's good. I think overall it will be good. But I'd like to see how it plays out on the table.
Yeah, there's definitely some armies that got hit harder than others, and it feels like a lot of the changes were meant to be like, okay, we're raising points to fill in where you were taking battalions before. So if you weren't taking battalions, you're getting hit. If you were taking battalions, then you're fine. You're basically the same list as you were running before.
So I think that a lot of that's a great. I like what you're saying there. I think a lot of the battalions were kind of weak in the later books.
Yep.
And the biggest thing now are all these sub factions, because those are still all functional.
Right.
And then the unique artifacts that some of these armies have.
And the ability to just get lots of artifacts is going to be powerful. Running MSU and a bunch of heroes to get a lot of extra artifacts is going to be a big deal.
Come on, take it.
That's what she said.
He just needed his binky. Now he's just going to pull it out. Keep it in. All right, Paul.
Yeah, I think it's time to end it. We've been through everything.
What do you think the best army is, all said and done?
I honestly don't know.
I know.
I feel like Seraphon didn't get changed enough to not still be on top.
Well, whoa. The fact that you can only do like 4 units that are like bumped up.
Yeah.
Like you only bump up 4 times. That changes every single army.
I would say not every single army. It changes a lot of armies. There were definitely plenty that were running MSU.
Okay. I don't think is Seraphon one of them?
They were running 40s of skanks.
40s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. That's a big change for them. I think the best army right now is going to be a Flesh Eater Courts.
Really?
I think Flesh Eater Courts is where it's at. You know, they don't care anymore. They're closer to you, so you can't hide as easy. They can summon so many things as they get all these command points. They get all the abilities that matter because they're in their sub faction and they're not in battalions. There's so many great things that are happening for. And they took like mostly MSU.
Yeah.
I can't think of any lists that were like, we're not going to take MSU. And like their points really didn't change. They're just awesome. And they're all monster and leaders. So they get all these bonuses every time they go into combat. They're even better than they were.
Yeah.
So I think that the big winners in this version. Oh, Scarbrand's another big winner.
Yeah.
Scarbrand's huge.
Yep. If you've got a big combat monster that is also a hero, I think they're big winners.
Oh, the
Free Guild General going down 15 points. Like,
huge.
Okay, I'll I'll run 2 Griffins. That's cool.
Scarbrand by himself is an Alpha Strike unit. Like he is by himself the Death Star. He's like a single unit Death Star. And if you get him into combat and attack twice, it's like sometimes that's enough to just your opponent to shake your hand because it's just devastating.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to throw him at my opponent.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm feeling like those Free Guild Griffins.
Yeah.
In Hammerhall being able to attack twice.
Oh my god.
And
yeah, anything like
smaller
that.
board size, and they have a 15-inch move.
Super
like
good.
Yeah, they're just gonna rip across the board and just nuke a unit.
Yeah. I think Slaughter Priests are better. I'm hoping the Judgments are better. I hope they update the rules so that they don't disappear at the end of every turn. But
yeah. I think Nurgle is like comparatively better.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure like yeah, I mean I think on average it fared better than a lot of other armies did.
All right.
All right, time to call it.
Yeah.
We've done 2 hours, gone through all the points, given all of our opinions. I'm sure I'll do a deeper dive on Nurgle at some point because there's some interesting things that happen there. But it's been fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's fun.
And we will see you all later.
All right. Have a good one.
Oh, I'm gonna hit